Imagine going to your annual checkup feeling completely fine. You walk regularly, you don't smoke, you've eaten reasonably well for years. No symptoms, no obvious warning signs. 3 weeks later, your doctor calls. Stage 2. It happens to millions of people who believed they were doing enough because nobody told them what enough actually means when it comes to cancer. Here is the finding that changes everything. Research published in the journal Nature shows that genetics account for only 5 to 10% of all cancer diagnoses. The remaining 90 to 95% are driven by environment, lifestyle, and biological conditions that accumulate quietly over years inside the body. Cancer is not a random event waiting to happen. It is a process, and processes can be understood. They can be interrupted. That is exactly what this video is going to show you. The American Cancer Society reports more than 1.9 million new cancer cases diagnosed in the United States every year, with incidence rising sharply after age 60. Not because aging is a malfunction, but because of what decades of accumulated biological conditions do to the body's defenses. The central driver of those conditions has a name: chronic, low-grade inflammation. Not the kind that heals a wound. Something subtler, a constant, low-level immune activation that never fully switches off. Over time, it creates precisely the environment where abnormal cells stop being corrected and start multiplying unchecked. What feeds it? Poor sleep, diets high in processed food and refined sugar, excess abdominal weight, unmanaged stress, physical inactivity. Not dramatic risk factors, ordinary ones, which is exactly why they are so easy to underestimate. This video covers 3 things: what actually causes cancer at the cellular level, how it spreads through the body, and 5 specific evidence-based strategies to reduce your risk starting this week. Stay to the end. The final strategy is the most underused cancer prevention tool available, and most people never act on it. If cancer has touched your life directly or through someone close to you, type "aware" in the comments. It helps others find this video. Please subscribe and hit the bell for new research-backed content every week. What causes cancer? Every day, the human body produces approximately 330 billion new cells. Each time a cell divides, there is a small chance of a DNA copying error, a mutation. In a healthy body, the immune system catches these errors, identifying and destroying mutated cells before they can reproduce. This happens thousands of times daily, beneath conscious awareness. Cancer begins when this surveillance system is compromised. 3 root mechanisms drive that breakdown, especially after age 60. Root driver. Number 1. Chronic inflammation. A landmark study in Nature Reviews Cancer found that inflammatory markers, C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6 are consistently elevated in patients years before a cancer diagnosis. The inflammation didn't follow the cancer, it preceded it. The mechanism. Sustained inflammation releases growth signals, specifically NF-kappa B and TNF-alpha, that tell damaged cells to multiply rather than die, while simultaneously suppressing the immune system's ability to intervene. A 2019 meta-analysis in Frontiers in Immunology confirmed the primary drivers: ultra-processed diets, physical inactivity, sleep disruption, abdominal fat, and chronic stress, each independently elevating inflammatory markers and compounding when combined. Root driver. Number 2. Immune suppression. After 60, a process called immunosenescence, the biological aging of the immune system, reduces the body's cancer surveillance capacity. Fewer natural killer, NK cells, are produced. Immune responses become slower and less precise. Research in Nature Immunology shows this decline is not fixed. Specific lifestyle behaviors, aerobic exercise, quality sleep, anti-inflammatory diet measurably slow immunosenescence and partially restore NK cell activity even in older adults. Root driver. Number 3. Oxidative stress. Cellular metabolism produces free radicals, unstable molecules that damage DNA when they accumulate faster than the body's antioxidant defenses can neutralize them. A 2020 review in Antioxidants confirmed that elevated oxidative stress is consistently present in precancerous cellular environments across colorectal, breast, prostate, and lung cancers. Diet is the primary lever controlling oxidative stress more reliably than any supplement. Understanding what causes cancer matters, but understanding how it moves, how a localized problem becomes systemic, is what makes the prevention strategies that follow feel genuinely urgent. When abnormal cells evade immune surveillance and begin multiplying, they form a primary tumor localized, treatable, often curable. The danger escalates through metastasis, cancer spreading to distant organs, which occurs in 3 biological stages. Stage 1. Local invasion. Cancer cells produce enzymes called matrix metalloproteinases, MMPs, that break down the structural barriers of surrounding tissue, allowing invasion beyond the origin site. Stage 2. Intravasation. Cancer cells penetrate blood vessel or lymphatic vessel walls and enter circulation as circulating tumor cells, CTCs. They are able to travel throughout the body. Stage 3. Secondary colonization. CTCs arrest at a distant site, frequently the liver, lungs, or bones, and establish a secondary tumor. This metastatic state is what makes treatment exponentially more complex. The critical research finding: the immune system destroys the vast majority of circulating tumor cells before they can establish secondary tumors. A study in the Journal of Experimental Medicine found that patients with higher NK cell activity had significantly lower rates of metastatic recurrence independent of tumor type or initial staging. This is why immune support is not a peripheral lifestyle suggestion. It is the central biological defense against cancer progression. The biology is clear. Now 5 specific research-supported strategies to act on it. Strategy number 1. Reduce inflammation through diet. The Predimed trial, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, followed more than 7,000 participants and found that adherence to a Mediterranean dietary pattern significantly reduced inflammatory markers and cancer incidence over 5 years. You must reduce ultra-processed foods with industrial seed oils, refined carbohydrates, and added sugars, which spike insulin, a documented cancer growth signal. Processed and red meats, classified by the WHO as Group 1 and Group 2A, carcinogens. You must increase fatty fish rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which directly suppress the NF-kappa B inflammatory pathway. Cruciferous vegetables containing sulforaphane, shown to inhibit cancer cell growth. Berries rich in anthocyanins, which reduce oxidative stress. Turmeric, its active compound curcumin, is one of the most studied natural NF-kappa B inhibitors in the scientific literature. Extra virgin olive oil, whose oleocanthal compound operates through a mechanism similar to ibuprofen on inflammatory pathways. Consistent dietary shifts, not perfection, produce measurable CRP reductions within 8 to 12 weeks. Strategy number 2. Protect sleep as an immune requirement. A University of Chicago study published in Sleep found that 1 week of fewer than 6 hours of sleep per night reduced natural killer cell activity by 70% in otherwise healthy adults. The WHO has classified night shift work, which chronically disrupts circadian rhythm, as a Group 2A probable carcinogen, based on its association with elevated breast and colorectal cancer risk. During deep sleep, the body produces peak levels of melatonin, which has documented direct anti-cancer properties, including the suppression of tumor cell proliferation. Evidence-based practices. Consistent sleep and wake times to anchor the circadian rhythm. A cool sleep environment research identifies 65-68 degrees Fahrenheit as optimal. Eliminating blue light exposure 60 minutes before bed and avoiding alcohol within 3 hours of sleep, which fragments the deep sleep stages the immune system depends on most. Strategy. Number 3. Exercise as a biological intervention. A review in the British Journal of Sports Medicine confirmed that moderate aerobic exercise produces an acute increase in circulating NK cells and T lymphocytes, and that regular exercise measurably slows immunosenescence in older adults. A 2020 meta-analysis in Diabetologia found that regular, moderate exercise reduces fasting insulin and IGF, one documented cancer growth signals, more reliably than dietary intervention alone. A separate meta-analysis of 49 randomized controlled trials, published in Brain, Behavior, and Immunity, confirmed that moderate aerobic exercise consistently and significantly reduces CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha. 150 minutes of moderate activity per week, 30 minutes of brisk walking 5 days a week achieves all three effects. Consistency matters more than intensity. Swimming, gentle cycling, and chair-based exercise produce equivalent biological benefits when practiced regularly. Strategy number 4. Manage chronic stress for biology, not comfort. Chronic stress activates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis, driving sustained overproduction of cortisol. Elevated cortisol suppresses NK cell activity, activates the NF-kappa B inflammatory pathway, and raises blood glucose and insulin, simultaneously recreating the biological conditions of poor diet and disrupted sleep. A 2019 study in psychoneuroendocrinology confirmed that individuals with chronically elevated cortisol had measurably lower NK cell cytotoxicity, a direct reduction in cancer-killing immune capacity. A meta-analysis in health psychology found that mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, 10 to 20 minutes of daily practice, produced significant reductions in cortisol, IL-6, and CRP across multiple populations. The mechanism is physiological. Controlled breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, physically interrupting the sustained stress response. Japanese research on Shinrin-yoku linked regular time in natural environments to measurable NK cell activity increases. Consistent social connection is identified across multiple longitudinal studies as one of the most powerful buffers against chronic stress physiology. Strategy. Number 5. Engage with evidence-based screening. A comprehensive survival analysis in California, a cancer journal for clinicians' Times, confirmed that 5-year survival rates for most cancers are dramatically higher at localized versus metastatic stage in many cases. The difference between above 90% and below 20%. Current USPSTF and American Cancer Society guidelines for adults over 60. Colorectal cancer. Colonoscopy every 10 years, or Cologuard every 1 to 3 years. Colonoscopy removes adenomatous polyps precancerous growths that develop into colorectal cancer in 70% of cases if left untreated. Skin cancer. Annual full-body dermatological examination. Localized melanoma carries a 9-8% plus 5-year survival rate. Distant stage melanoma drops below 30%. Prostate cancer. PSA trend tracking over time, not a single value provides the most clinically useful early detection information. Breast cancer. Annual or biennial mammography through age 74, with individualized decisions beyond that. Lung cancer. Annual low-dose CT for those with a 20-pack year smoking history who currently smoke or quit within the past 15 years. This screening reduces lung cancer mortality by up to 20% in eligible populations, yet many who qualify are never informed. The single most important action this week: at the next medical appointment, ask, which cancer screenings am I due for, and are there any I should be requesting that we haven't discussed? One question. Potentially life-changing consequences. Here is what the science, taken together, actually says. Cancer is not primarily genetic fate. It is a biological process, one that develops in an environment shaped by how the body lives every day. Chronic inflammation can be reduced. Immune function can be supported. Oxidative stress can be managed. Sleep can be protected. Movement can be consistent. Stress physiology can be interrupted. And screening can catch what begins before it progresses. A study in JAMA Internal Medicine, following more than 135,000 adults, found that adherence to combined evidence-based lifestyle behaviors was associated with 40 to 50% lower cancer incidence across multiple cancer types. The body is not passively waiting to get sick. It is responding constantly, biochemically, to the conditions it is given. That is not a reason for anxiety. It is a reason for action. If this video gave you something useful, clearer understanding, a sense of what the evidence actually supports, please give it a like. Type prevention in the comments. Every comment helps others find this. Subscribe, hit the bell, and don't miss the episode.